Good morning, everyone. I'd like you all to stand because we're going to do Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Jake, if you could, do roll call, please.
Keisha Johnner,
Here.
Jim Mueller,
Here.
Steve McCombs. Here.
Entertain a motion for today's agenda.
So moved. Fourth.
Second.
McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Communications. Jake, is there any communication?
I don't have any to
Okay, all right.
portray.
Right. Board, any communications?
I have none.
I have none.
I don't have any either. On to public comment. This is the portion of the agenda which we could hear from the public that is not on an agenda item below. These could become future topics. So is there any public comments? Anything online, Emily? No. Seeing none, we'll move on. Entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve today's consent agenda.
I'll support.
Mueller,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
On to business. Item number 1, I am going to be handing over to Steve as the vice chair for transparency. My sister works for the Paskey and Skinner as an attorney and lobbyist.
Yeah, thank you, Keisha. Yeah, we've had this service for the last several years, and I believe it's been fairly successful for us. And I believe it's important that we retain this service so we can have a voice at the State House on a daily basis, since we all can't be there every day. There's several examples, I can't name them all, that we have benefited from this service. So I would be entertaining a motion to retain this lobbying services with Skinner and Paskey for the 2025.
So moved.
Oh, wait a minute, Tyler, you got something?
I'm just gonna say, I would echo support. We've used Kelly many times on secondary road issues. Also, at our recent District 5 County Engineer meeting, we had discussions about how do we get in front of legislators in a different manner. Our association has a legislative liaison, however, they don't have the influence necessarily that a lobbyist does. And so it was brought up that some counties, I think we are maybe the only one in District 5 having a lobbyist and getting in front of some of the secondary road issues specifically related to some changes that the County Engineers Association is proposing related to House File 718 to make our budgets come into compliance with the rules that were put into place over the last couple of years, which they are currently not. So some issues with our budgeting and with funding. And then subsequently, Kelly and I have had lots of conversations about upcoming funding issues with some funding that will be sunsetting in 27 or 28 around secondary road funding. And then also it being a diminishing tax as well, as far as the road use tax and anything we can do to help that. Just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Tyler. Kelly, are you online?
Yes, sir, I am.
Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, I just appreciate the opportunity to work for Marion County again, and I think we have seen some successes. I mean, just maybe for purposes of Jim, because he's new, we were able to change the code and get Marion County eligible to apply for some grant money through the Economic Development Department. We changed that code so that in the state building demolition and rehabilitation funds, because the VA property had been previously owned by the federal government, we got some language changed, and then Marion County did apply for that money and get $1 million. So we found some success there. We've monitored tax issues. We've had one-on-ones with the Ways and Means chairs to basically be a voice for how it's going to tax changes would impact Marion County. And then I worked with Tyler quite a bit, and had him up here to talk about the sinkhole, and I think we probably need to have him come back up here again and discuss implications of property tax changes on secondary roads. And it's important to know who to get him in front of to have those discussions. I've been at the Capitol for, gosh, I think it's 18 years now. And so over that period of time, I've worked a lot of issues, and I've made a lot of relationships. I see that the contract is up on the board. We are a multi-client firm, and so we disclose all of our other clients in our contract, and those are listed right there. I'm happy to take any questions that you have over that. This year, we need to continue to work on regulatory, opportunities, frankly, with IDOLs over the sinkhole. And as that sinkhole has gotten larger and there is a lack of expertise in the government for oversight and authority, frankly, and jurisdiction for any of those regulatory agencies to come in and say, this is who's required to fix it. This is how you fix it correctly. And we've continued to bring that message up here at the Capitol that it's important that when something like this happens, impacting a road, a county road, and all of Iowans, frankly, who might travel that road, that the county have someone to be able to call and say, hey, we need to have this fixed appropriately. And that's kind of lacking in the state because IDOLS only has jurisdiction over above ground mine reclamation, not below ground mines, unless it's a coal mine. And then there's only funding if it's coal mine through the federal government. So again, I'm from Marion County, grew up in Knoxville, and it's an honor to represent my home county.
Thank you, Kelly. I think on behalf of everybody here, we certainly appreciate your efforts for Marion County. So back to
Thank
my
you.
original, I would seek a motion to approve the contract. And we'll get that.
I'll move to approve, and I'd also like to just say that I'm a big supporter of maintaining the relationships with all the legislators at the state level. And the more you can get in front of them on a daily basis and build and have them understand the issues that we're facing from our perspective, as well as just statewide, I think it's important. And Kelly, knowing that you've been there for 18 years, I know how those relationships get built, and people get to know each other and they can count on each other. So anything you can do on our behalf to have the limestone mines be included along with the coal mines would be greatly appreciated by everybody in Marion County and anybody else who may be having a limestone mine that they're going to have to deal with at some point in the future. So
That's what we're working on.
I need a second.
Second.
Ready? Johnner? Oh, yeah, Johnner.
Abstain.
McCombs?
Aye.
Mueller?
I
On to item number 2. It's Marion County Treasurer Semi-Annual Report. It's from 7/1 to 12/31. Michaela.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
So this is a report that I bring to the board every 6 months. I think it is a great snapshot of the activity that our county, the financial activity that our county has experienced for the first 6 months of the fiscal year. Nothing in this report should be a surprise, should be new to anybody. This is basically just a compilation of all of the daily work that Jake and I both do in our offices when it comes to expense and revenues of Marion County. You see that monthly in the reports that Jake pushes out, and this is just a snapshot of what that looks like as of December 31st.
Thank you, Michaela. Is this typically this is just a file and receive?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Okay.
And then the formal file and receive will come before you after June 30th, once we've closed our year end, and that will actually be published in the paper as required by Iowa code as well.
Board, do you have any questions for Michaela?
have done.
Well, thank you, Michaela.
Entertain a motion to file and receive.
So moved.
Support.
McCombs?
Aye.
Mueller?
Aye.
Johnner?
Aye. On to item number 3, the treasurer again. Updated City of Pella driver's license lease agreement, 24-25.
Yes, so this is not something I would typically bring to the board mid-year. But when we renewed our Pella driver's license agreement in June, we only did it for 6 months with the anticipation that we would be in the new City of Pella facility probably sometime in December or January. But it looks like the work on that facility has been delayed. So we are still in the community center for the time being, which is fine. We are very happy with that accommodation. We look forward to the new facility, but we are absolutely fine to operate out of the room that they provided for us in the community center. So this will take us through the last 6 months of this year, and then we'll have a new agreement, new annual agreement as per normal in June.
Okay, so no changes in there?
No
Yep,
changes,
okay.
nope.
All right, board, do you have any questions for Michaela?
Nope.
Pretty
Well,
static.
this has been pretty beneficial for us both, hasn't it?
I think the
Michaela?
citizens really enjoy this.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes,
Yep.
yes.
Definitely a feature that's nice.
And previously, we used to go to Pella only 2 days a month, the second and fourth Fridays of every month. Now we go every Wednesday, so.
I'd just like to add too that Michaela did send that over and it looked fine, so.
Okay. All right, great, thank you. With that, I'll entertain a motion for the updated license agreement, lease agreement.
So moved.
Second,
Mueller,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye,
McCombs.
aye.
Thank you.
thank you, Michaela. Item number 4 is public health, mental health advocate position. Board, if you remember, hasn't been long ago. I believe it was maybe in December. Is that when we did that? Anyways,
Maybe.
we updated the mental health advocate position agreement. And this before you, I'm going to let Lindsay explain a little bit about it. So.
Sure. So the Heart of Iowa region had approached us about hiring a mental health advocate for the region. So it is a requirement of Iowa code that the county appoint an advocate, but they cannot be an employee of the region. So Marion County does currently have an agreement with Polk County, but Heart of Iowa would still like us to hire an advocate to serve the other counties in our region. So Rachel Cecil is speaking with the other counties and their boards of supervisors to sign 28E agreements. And this would be a PRN position that would be completely reimbursed by the region through the end of June. And then with the hopes that the Iowa Primary Care Association would partner with us after July 1 to continue providing that service to our counties and then the counties around us.
Question I have for you is if this is something that the board chooses to sign off on, then come in June, could we, and if it stays in Marion County, then can we represent ourselves like that? Or how does that work?
So I believe that we could still hire an advocate. They just
Okay.
can't be an employee of the mental health region.
Okay.
And I think Rachel, I don't know if she has anything to add, but I think she is online.
Yeah, I'm here if you guys have any questions from the region perspective.
So Rachel, this is something I believe Lindsay had said that it is a must that they must have that. Have you been able to talk to the rest of those counties?
So I've met with some of the counties. Currently we have 6 counties in the Heart of Iowa region that are without a mental health advocate. I have one that wants to sign the MOU as soon as possible. That's Decatur County. They have said they will sign off. The MOU does have a place for the advocate's name, and because Marion County has not hired that position yet, that's why we haven't moved on that agreement with Decatur. I'm working to get an appointment with Wayne County as well. And then I have met with Union County. I have a meeting Friday with Adair County's board. Everyone's kind of exploring their options, and we're just trying to bring them a solution. It's really not the region's role to make sure the advocate exists. Our role is to fund the position. But we're trying to help the counties out, and it helps our individuals we serve to have that advocate position.
Yeah. So Lindsay, is this something then we would have to look at posting the position and going from there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard when you don't know who's going to be signing on to it,
Right.
knowing that there's one.
Mhm.
And
And it would be an as-needed position, so the hours could fluctuate.
Okay,
Yep.
so it's not going to be a position in which we'd be saying, okay, here's full-time benefits and all that. This
Correct.
would be something that would be PRN strictly,
Yes,
and then have to figure out, okay.
right,
Right.
with the hope that then after July 1st, it could be a full-time position,
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
but no guarantee, of course.
I have a silly question.
No, you're fine.
Okay, so there's 6 counties in the region. Why does Marion County have to have this position? Can any of the other 6 counties
Right.
fulfill this role and then we're just a tag on for theirs? Or what's driving us to be the focal point for this?
Yeah, so that could happen. Anybody could hire one. And I think going forward with the hope that that position would stay on after July 1st is that we would have the most use in Marion County over the other counties. The most
Yeah,
cases.
I could, oh, sorry, Lindsay.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so currently there's, we have 13 counties in the region. And we have, 4 different advocates. Our goal would be to have one for the region, because it is a position where when you have the smaller counties, you don't have a lot of mental health commitments. Marion County has we have more than our fair share. I would say we probably have 90% of the commitments in this 7 counties that we're talking about currently. So it would benefit Marion County to have that local presence, my opinion. Because we don't know what the regional system looks like after July 1, there could be less local staff. So having that mental health advocate locally, I think, is a benefit for Marion County residents.
Another question, would this be an add to the budget, to the expense budget?
It would, but
Or is
also an add to the revenue budget. It should be a financial wash for the
It
county.
should be a wash,
Mhm.
even after July,
Yes,
or that's an unknown.
I think it should still be a wash. Is that right, Rachel? It would be
Yeah.
reimbursed.
As long as there's no code changes, no new legislation related to advocates. That's one of the reasons we also thought the PRN was a good solution, because it gives the coverage until July 1, but after July 1, the regions don't exist. So it goes to administrative service organizations, and one entity will be running the state for behavioral health. So it will be negotiating a contract with Iowa Primary Care Association to have those services.
So currently today, we are piggybacking along with Polk County. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes,
We've met our burden. And now we're looking to expand our reach, if you will, for our region so that there'll be upwards of 6 counties working through this one individual. Is there
6
any,
months, yeah,
6 counties?
for possibly 6 months.
Awesome. Oh, for
Yeah,
6
yeah,
months.
yeah, because this is just,
So is there a timeline that's forcing us to say we got to do this now? Or would we be better served to say, let's wait until the budget session is over to find out what our impact is and what we have to work with before we make a commitment? Again, I'm just looking at direction of saying, why now versus in 30 days?
oh, I mean, we could wait 30 days, but there are, like Rachel said, there are counties ready to sign, one ready to sign, and then others interested. So I think in their point of view, probably the sooner the better.
Would one county make us whole? If we were to hire this person? Or do we
Yeah.
need 6 counties to make us whole?
right. So
But
the funding, Rachel, and he's asking about, making sure that if you're putting out a position.
Yep.
and PRN.
And that's why we're proposing PRN, because it would be for the work completed. So if that one county did 5 hours that month, we pay the 5 hours.
Okay, I understand. And again, please don't misunderstand.
okay.
I'm just asking questions. I'm not in favor of or against at this point. I'm just trying to get my feet under me so that I know what we're actually going to be voting on and approving potentially.
No, all good questions. Yeah. Steve, do you have any questions or thoughts?
Well, that was one of them, but they already got answered. So thank you.
Well, is this something that you guys want to think on and possibly discuss at the next meeting, or would you, what are your guys' thoughts on this? Or do you want anybody willing to make a motion? It obviously is not going to change Marion County status at this point. It is going to possibly open up an opportunity, PRN wise, for somebody that we would have to post, and our HR department would have to be involved in.
We would have
I
to
was-
have this discussion again in July.
Right, yeah. Well, if it's,
Yeah,
so there's a lot of unknowns
Yeah.
with what the state is going to do. And I think this legislation, period and things, with it just starting, things could change. And I think Rachel is just trying to help these other smaller counties to feel like they had a source in which to reach out to.
Right.
Why aren't they reaching out to Polk? Do we know? Like-
So Polk also had, so our advocate that was Kelly Yagi, she worked for Polk County. She retired from all of her positions. She also worked for Wayne and Decatur.
Oh,
So Polk is actually backfilling as well. They are in the process of trying to hire another advocate. I don't know where they are with that. But these other counties, aside from Wayne and Decatur, there are 4 other counties that have been without an advocate for quite some time. If you guys want to table and I go to Adair County on Friday, I can bring back, I think depending on which way Adair goes, will kind of be a domino effect for Union, Taylor, and Adams. So I might know on Friday if it's going to be, oh, we got 2 counties that are interested, or no, we have 6.
I think that would be helpful.
yeah.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
too.
All
Okay.
right.
that sounds
So with that, I just ask that, I don't think that we want to table at this point. I think we just close discussion. And then she can come back to us and we can discuss it for possibly the next meeting or so, once she finds out that information. So
Okay. All right. Thank you.
entertain a motion to close discussion.
Second.
I'll make the motion to close the discussion.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought you did. Second.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
Thank you, guys. All good discussion, all good questions. Definitely things that we need to think about, so. Item number 5. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning.
Is Marion County Emergency Management. It's the inclement weather policy. So before us, is my understanding is this policy was back from 2008, is that correct?
That is correct.
And has not been officially reviewed since then. And so Jeff wanted to bring it before us to see if there was any changes that we would like. And then also maybe making some decisions in regarding if by chance they couldn't get a hold of the chair, to make sure vice chair would be the backup. Is that how we're, okay?
That
All
would
right.
be accurate.
Okay, all right.
And to be clear, this is a Board of Supervisor policy. It's not an emergency management policy, so.
Correct, yeah, okay. This is something I'm assuming, since it was back in 2008, it has, I think, board, we need to just kind of discuss, but then it would be, if we were wanting any changes, I think we would need legal counsel to review and add any language to that also. But I also noticed, Jeff, in this, it says notify the radio stations by 7 a.m., which could be, I mean, we could change that a little bit. And since we do have a PIO, Public Information Officer, we could say that we wanted the Public Information Officer notified by 7 a.m. and to make those notifications too. Board, do you have any questions for Jeff or have any thoughts, I guess, regarding this inclement weather policy?
One thing I noticed was it says officially close the courthouse. In other parts of the employee handbook, there's references to non-essential employees.
Okay.
Just like public health, for example, or folks that work out here potentially. So, and then just verifying references to sections in the handbook, and if the handbook's gonna be changing,
I know,
obviously,
that's, yeah.
keep
yeah.
that in mind.
I think that's a great point. I think we need to make sure that this inclement weather policy dovetails with the employee handbook.
Yep, yep.
And we all know that technology has changed significantly since 2008. So we need to make sure that we have clear lines of communication and expectations about how we get that stuff out. So.
Right. I guess, Jeff, in regarding this, I mean, if we were to wait, since we are going to we're going to be discussing here in a little bit, handbook stuff. Is it going to cause you problems to continue like this? And you know, obviously, I do believe it says, make the recommendation to the chair, and then their absence, the vice chair, so, but
No
There's a lot
hardship
of-
created here, so.
yeah, so, go ahead, Lisa.
I would second that we maybe hold off, because I think on Jim's comment, we're not consistent in the handbook right now. And then there's a lot of questions on, the website says the courthouse is closed, non-essential is closed. So what are those defined? Kale just asked, are we essential, are we not? So I think we need to dig, deeper and make everything consistent throughout the whole county and through our messages that we send to the public, because it's not just courthouse anymore. When this was written,
It's just, yeah.
it was.
Okay.
So,
Yep. I appreciate you bringing it forward, because this also brings another light, which,
Yep.
something else we have to, another
Felt like it was
layer.
time for a conversation, so.
Nope, I appreciate that.
And going forward, you can kind of dictate when you want to review it. Maybe we should review it in the summer months, or at least the fall, and not on January.
Right? Yep, no,
Not when it's snowing outside?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't disagree, so.
Why
Or
can't
do you have-
this, why can't this be incorporated into the employee handbook? I mean,
Well, it is in the
Yeah.
handbook.
It is,
I
it's
know.
references, but just saying that,
it's a separate policy.
Yeah.
okay.
This is really minor. These words, it's just a word, but is there anything that can be used other than non-essential? I mean, we know what it means, and then not non-emergency, something like that, but some word that would consistently be used.
Depends on what you're trying to get done that
Well,
day.
I know, I get it, and it's just a word, but I think we all know what it means.
I think the handbook does say, have a definition of non-essential and
Yeah.
essential,
It was probably
But it's
defined. It was probably
outdated.
defined.
but it's outdated.
Yeah, there you
So,
go.
yeah.
I like that.
okay.
Yep.
Definitely put something on our radar, but, at this point, I don't see that the board is wanting to make any changes, so.
Move we end discussion?
I'll second.
McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. Item number 6 is the public hearing portion, and this is a proposed vacating of the road right-of-ways of existing, and I'm going to, instead of reading this whole thing, I'm going to turn this over to Tyler.
Yes, so the legal description is provided there in the agenda. This section of 15th was previously brought to your attention at the end of 2024 as a proposed level upgrade to level B from the legal not open classification that it currently is. At that time, my recommendation was to deny the upgrade for reclassification and subsequently pursue road vacation. And so that action was taken to deny the road upgrade petition or request. And so this is the formal vacation process for that section of 15th Avenue. As far as access, it will then allow certain sections of code to be applied by the landowners that were making the petition request for upgrade. They'll be able to put those things into motion once the road is vacated, to basically pursue, if they would like, other avenues such as condemning their way out, which may or may not end up back on 15th. That will be for their attorneys and others to decide. We've had one of the adjacent property owners call in. Not really any objections, just some questions regarding kind of the process, and I think if they would incur any costs associated with it or something like that. Is that correct? So,
Okay, all right.
yeah, so this is the public hearing portion.
Yep. This is the public hearing portion. Is there any, public comments? Anything online? All right.
This is the attorney for the parcel that is affected. My name's Mike Curry. I just want to voice, our support of vacating the road, and that's it. If there's any questions for me, please let me know. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Anyone else? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Support.
Mueller,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Item number 7 is the resolution 2025-17 regarding the vacating of the road. Board, do you have any questions for Tyler?
Tyler, I do have one question. I see the quitclaim deeds are attached back here. Any of the property contingent to the road vacation, are they interested in assuming those? I see the quitclaim deed. Are they interested in taking that on? I mean, we can say that we no longer own it, but unless they accept it,
What, so
how'd that process work?
So we can vacate over any objection. The board may vacate over objection. Our roads are generally, and I say generally, as 95% of the county roads are established by easement. So it's already their property.
Okay,
The county is vacating any public
gotcha.
right of way interest.
Gotcha. So it's already part of their deed. They don't need to amend their deed, or they're already paying taxes on it.
They are not
They're
already
correct.
paying taxes on it.
So I can follow up on that just a little bit if you
Unless
want.
there's something incorrect,
Right.
Okay.
which we do find occasionally.
Yeah.
But no, you are not paying taxes on public
easement.
right of way easements.
Okay,
But you will be as part of this.
part of this, okay.
And to this point, in this particular example, there was a small portion that the railroad purchased. And we decided to go ahead and vacate that because just to verify that there was no
Public interest.
county right of way.
Right.
And we didn't want to create this island of county right of way. So that's also included in this as well.
Makes sense.
From the previous point of vacation up to Jessup.
Yep. The quitclaim deeds, I don't know are necessarily required. By code, I think you guys resolving to vacate probably would suffice. I don't know that we used to do quitclaim deeds, but over the years, we've learned that the quitclaim deed is very beneficial to go through the recorder's office. It helps our office. It has that document. It has the legal description. We get all the deeds, may not, and then real estate side will, they be adding taxable acres. They own the land, exactly like Tyler said. There will be an adjustment to the taxable acreage. And this quitclaim deed has just been very beneficial, something we've learned that is helpful over time.
Yes, I can attest to that.
And maybe it was when Steve, I don't know. I don't remember when we started doing that practice, but it's been very beneficial. But it was a long time ago.
Yeah, we're not actually in the quitclaim, even like Tyler said, we're not actually deeding property. We're quitting our interest in that.
Gotcha.
Questions? Anybody have any other questions? No, entertain a motion for resolution 2025-17.
Make a motion, we approve resolution 2025-17.
Second.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
On to item number 8, which is resolution 2025-18. It's Rebuilding American Infrastructure Sustainability and raise the 28 agreement and letter support. Tyler.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw quite a bit of information at you here today. There was quite a bit of information provided to you in the agenda item request. So in 2024, the FY25 announcement was made for the raise funding cycle or notice of funding opportunity. With RAISE being the Rebuilding American Infrastructure and Sustainability and Equity program through the bipartisan infrastructure law that was passed, was in 2021. There have been in the past similar programs that were enacted in 2009, previously called Tiger or Build grants that Marion County has applied for in the past. And so it's not an old program. It's just been subsequently funded, or it's an older program, but it's subsequently funded by the new transportation bill, which is the bipartisan infrastructure law. So in this current cycle of FY '25, there are 2 rounds. Round 1 was just awarded on January 10th of this month. So there was one county in Iowa that did receive funding in round 1. That was Webster County for a bridge in Lehigh over the Des Moines River. It was a $9.2 million bridge. That was a standalone application from that county. The difference here is we are applying, basically doing a project bundle. So what's before you today is a 2080 application for or agreement between Marion County and 4 other counties. We're working with the Iowa County Engineers Association to put this application together as a project bundle. That's beneficial to Marion County for a couple of reasons. One, it makes our application that much more attractive. And it reduces our initial cost. So sometimes with federal programs, which we weigh the costs and benefits of our own here, whether we spend money to try to go get money, because there's no guarantee that we receive raised funds at the end. So do we spend $60,000 to go after a grant like this? You know, Webster County is just leveraging $60,000 in application fees and consulting fees to get 9 million potentially. That's maybe 100% federally funded. In this case, we're 1 of 5, so we have $60,000 of consulting fees. That was attached in your documentation. Marion County is responsible for about 12,000 of that. That reduces our burden here of spending any local dollars to move the application forward. So the process is we don't have to do this. This is something I chose to pursue. We could go after a raised grant all on our own. So it was my choice to try to move forward. We've discussed this in the past, kind of in passing, that this project was something I wanted to try to go after federal funding on. It's been in our 5-year program since 2019. One of the reasons I went with the Iowa County Engineers Association on a project bundle is because the request was put out by that County Engineers Association, like they do for, let's say, a bridge bundle. Bridge meeting certain criteria are eligible for the association to pursue as a joint project. In this case, it was a road projects associated with vulnerable road users. And in our case, we have a pedestrian and bicycle facility associated with the project, but additionally, we have a high volume of recreational traffic. So trucks and boat trailers, trucks and campers in and around the Lake Red Rock area. We've used that same leverage in going after other federal grants. Most recently, the community project funds we received from Miller Meek's office, we use similar leverage in our application for the G28 project that was completed last year. So our project bundle, so other counties, some of it's bicycle related, some of it's Amish community related, the projects that they're going after. It's not necessarily paved shoulders just so the Amish can have a paved shoulder to drive on. Those counties are also looking at, let's rehabilitate the corridor, but also providing this safety improvement for this vulnerable community. Additionally, we have historically disadvantaged communities on the east within Knoxville. I believe it's on the northeast side of Knoxville is what the federal map shows. That also plays into our application. I'll get to the details of the project in a minute. We also took the opportunity here to leverage our project's proximity with each of our largest communities. So the project extends into Knoxville. So there's a portion of 100% Knoxville roadways. So from 5th Street in Knoxville, which would be their East Main, which is the farm to market extension into Knoxville, the project would begin at East 5th, or excuse me, it's just 5th Street. 5th Street in Knoxville and proceed east and then ultimately north to Pella. It includes a portion of the Pella corporate limit as well. T15, let's say generally north of Idaho Drive up to G28. Not 100% of that, but a portion of that is within the corporate limit of Pella. Let's say the east half of that road segment. And soon to be G28 will also likely be part of the city of Pella as well, that G28 intersection. So We're also leveraging our multi-jurisdictional aspect that we have here by including both the city of Knoxville, city of Pella in our application. This is not a funding commitment on their part at this time. You know, could it be potentially? The project application will pursue 100% federal funding. We are eligible as a rural community to receive 100% federal funding. In our application, we have agreed, based on what the counties all kind of thought our funding availability is with our matching funds, what would be the lowest we would accept. So that would be a 73% federal match, which is what I stated in here. That's obviously what we're using for budgeting moving forward, but the application will say we'd like to pursue 100%. We would accept up to 73%. That is typical of some of the federal programs that we're applying for more recently. It's not the standard 80-20 match or 90-10 that some other programs have. There's potential. Again, no funding commitments from either city, nor the Corps of Engineers, nor any other state or federal programs. However, there is potential that Marion County's share could be reduced. Let's say we did have a 20% match. There's potential we could use other state and federal grants and programs towards our share of the match. So maybe we end up with 10% instead of 80. Some of those federal and state sources I listed in your agenda item request. So the project itself, can you go back one slide, Emily? So the project itself, as I stated, starts at 5th Street in Knoxville, proceeds east along T15 to all the way across the dam to Highway G28. The road project will include rehabilitation very similar to what we saw last year on Highway G28. So fairly substantial. This is not our thin lift overlay that we're just doing the minimum to improve ride quality and move on. This is a little more than that. It's not a reconstruction. We're not completely tearing out the road and redoing it. That would be about $32 million. So we are looking at rehabilitating the road surface, but also providing safety improvements along the way. So we would be upgrading guardrail to meet current standards. We'd be paving shoulders. We'd be improving signage and intersection configuration along the entire corridor that you see here. Then on the next slide, so there's been discussions throughout the county about, for many years, there's been studies done in this particular area, in fact, regarding future use, pedestrian use, increased traffic volume on T15, particularly in this area. In fact, I think there's been 4 safety and feasibility studies along the T15 corridor, some of them specific to this location in the vicinity of the Red Rock Dam. So as part of the project to help make our application more attractive in these federal programs and also kind of fit the criteria that the Iowa County Engineers Association was looking for, I included a portion of recreational trail and also a pedestrian tunnel. So we already have a tunnel north of Red Rock Dam. However, bikes across the dam is not ever going to work. The bridge is too narrow, and I don't think the Corps would really be in favor of that either. So in some preliminary discussions with the Corps and some other folks, this has been tossed around. I thought maybe it was a good opportunity to provide pedestrian recreational use and safety improvements at the same time, meeting kind of some future unofficial future needs and wants of the community. So the trail extension would include connecting where the current trail tees off and goes to Ivans and South Tailwater on the south side of the Des Moines River across the pedestrian bridge. It would go up to T15, cross under T15 via a pedestrian tunnel, similar to the one on the north side of the dam. It would connect to the new proposed Red Rock Visitor Center that would be being built over the next 2 years. And then ultimately the trail will proceed south across the causeway, also known as the Knoxville Pond, to the end of the Corps of Engineer property, where at that point, a trail extension to Knoxville or towards Knoxville has multiple options from where it can go. But the trails being proposed in blue here there's very limited alignments and very, very difficult to get across the causeway and to get under T15. So we're leveraging the federal funds to try to get these more difficult and kind of, narrow scope locations done. So Marion County's project is $12 million of the $25 million joint application. That's why we are the lead applicant. So as you will see in the 2080 proposed, it states that Marion County is the lead applicant. That really doesn't mean a lot other than Marion County's name will be on the application. We will be submitting the application. Each individual project will be funded separately. So the counties will be responsible for funding and carrying out their portion of the project. And every county has to cash flow their project. For example, in Marion County, we would fund through the farm to market and get reimbursed just like any other federally funded road project. This 2080 has been reviewed by Ross at the county attorney's office. I don't believe there were any comments there. Of the 12 million, if it was a 73% federal match, that would result in $3.2 million roughly of farm to market matching funds. Again, we would hope it to be less than that. We would hope to be able to tap into other sources if it was 3.2 million to reduce that. However, that's not an astronomical number by any, for a 10-mile project, that's pretty standard. That's what we would expect to be spending ourselves if we were simply to go in and do a 2-inch overlay instead of a 4-inch overlay. For example, on G28, we spent roughly $2 million of farm to market funds matched with $2 million from the community project fund grant.
Tyler, if you weren't to receive any other funding, do you have that funding in there then, the 3.24 million?
Yes, so I had to do a little shuffling around in my 5-year program. This project is currently slated in my 5-year program that's obviously a draft that will be presented to you in the next couple months. But it's currently slated for a bid letting of January 1 of 2027. So construction at the earliest would be in construction season of 2027 for this project.
Okay.
So yes, we do have the funding available. That 3 million is approximately 2 years worth of farm to market allocation for Marion County.
All right.
If the grant is not received, there is a chance that this group would, before the bipartisan infrastructure law expires, there is possibly one more raise funding opportunity. It's possible that we would pursue this bundle again. The consultant and the Iowa County Engineers Association, based off their previous applications together and feedback that they receive on awarded and unawarded grant applications, feel that this project has a very good chance of being funded. But there's no guarantees. The other option, if the bundle.
When do you find out? When would you find out on that?
We would find out in June of 2025. If the bundle didn't get funded and didn't proceed into the next round of funding, Marion County could still choose to pursue this on our own if we would like.
Board, do you have any questions? To me, it makes sense. I appreciate your explanation of how you guys are going together, and I think a bigger package like that oftentimes can be more impressive. And then splitting that $60,000, splitting that down to 12,000, down to us. That I'm very supportive of how we can do something with the visitor center and the trails. I have stated that before in our meetings. When we're talking about with the core and the new visitor center. So, and I get that underpass. I think that's definitely looks very incentive and enticing. So, yeah, board.
Question on the 73%. So each one of the programs, each one of the projects listed, everybody would get the same 73%, right?
Correct.
I mean, you can't cherry pick and say 80% here and
No.
73 at the end, at the bottom over here.
The 73% would be in
Across all lines.
totality,
Okay.
24 point whatever million,
And if this were to
73%.
be approved for funding for the grant, and then one of the other projects fails to move forward, how would that impact us, Marion
That's-
County, at all? Or would it impact us in some way?
If the project is awarded, there are agreements in place, subsequent funding agreements that would be put in place per county. We see those all the time here. There's federal project agreements. Once those agreements are in place, there is no,
But that occurs
But-
after the grant is
after
is
it's
awarded?
awarded.
Okay.
Yeah, so if there was something that would happen in the meantime, there's potential that nothing moves forward.
Right.
So if one county was to retract.
Okay, once the award is made and you're waiting for all those contracts to be finalized, is it an all or nothing thing? Or can we move forward even if some of the other ones don't?
That's a good question.
I mean, I'm just asking questions about, okay, what's our team look like?
Yeah. I read through that 28E this morning again and did not see that. That would be a good question for the Service Bureau. Yeah, I don't,
Just in general terms, I don't know why we wouldn't do this,
Right.
but
Right.
I agree with Isha. I'm very supportive of the trails and I know Steve will jump in here too, of supportive of making sure that we make all of our highway and county roads as safe as possible, and paving the shoulders, I think is a great opportunity for everybody to have a safe travel, so.
I know in some of these other studies that you referenced, we looked at a different alignment, but I think that, but to keep it within reasonable numbers, I think that we have to stay with our current alignment. Would that be a fair assessment, Tyler?
So there were a couple of studies done looking at alignments, and the result of those wasn't necessarily for funding, but also where the road users would gravitate.
Right.
So alternate alignments didn't make sense because they wouldn't be utilized. The roads that are there now are the most convenient, maybe most economical, but definitely most economical because they already exist.
Right.
So the result of that studies and subsequent studies was to pursue improvements to the existing alignments that we have in T15 and T17.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there so everybody knew
Yep.
what the previous studies were all about.
Tyler, is this something that you need to get back and ask that before we approve? What's your timeline in submitting?
We probably need a special meeting because we're going to submit the day of our
The 28th.
28th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Jared, do you have any, kind of putting you on the spot here? With Jim's question is, if we were to go through, but some of the others, what's the liability of there? And just wanting to make sure, I mean, there's this resolution. Do you have any thoughts on how we proceed?
Well, I would need to take a closer look at the 2080. Ross, as Tyler indicated, was the one who reviewed this. So I'd first need to look at that, and I can certainly report back to the board if you'd like.
Yeah, I think to be safe, Tyler,
Mhm.
I think we need to know that answer before we're agreeing to giving the support yet, just because that's a very valid
I
question.
mean, my assumption was we would just all lose the funding.
I'm supportive of that.
Right, yeah, I mean, but when you're going in with others, I mean, I don't know, when's the last time we've done one like this? Have we
A
done-
joint application? I don't know if we've ever done a joint federal application. We've
Can I
done
ask-
some joint state applications for different things, state grants.
Go ahead.
I'm just thinking options, sorry to step in here, but like, does every county have to do this? What's the status of Does like every county,
2080,
oh, yeah, so every county,
every county is doing a 2080. Ours is slightly different.
are we ahead or
applicant.
have they said yes or no, or like where are we in that
Um,
process? If they would say
most-
yes
I'm
today,
not sure. I think 2 or 3 have already been approved. I'm not sure which ones. I know their board meetings were last week.
would
where they
there
were
be,
approved.
would there be opportunity to say yes to this today to keep the train rolling? And if something negative comes back to the question, you have a special meeting to withdraw the support.
I cannot submit, to that effect, yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
And I'm okay with that.
Just-
That's-
just thinking.
That's, we want to, if you could check on that and then,
Yep.
speak with the council on that, yeah, so. All right. So do we need to make the motion with that, Jake, or do we?
That's up to you guys if you want to put that stipulation on Tyler.
Yeah. So board, we'd be looking at resolution, approving the resolution 2025-18, but with the stipulation that Tyler is seeking, what, I don't know what you're gonna call it, Tyler.
Clarification.
Clarifications on if one county were to remove, it's either all or nothing is pretty much is how I would look at it.
Mhm.
So,
Up until the point,
Yep.
I mean, it does state in here that each project will be a standalone and have a funding agreement.
right, yeah.
Yep. And this agenda item and resolution did include the 2080 and a subsequent letter of support to be associated with the application.
Correct. Yeah. Board, are you okay with that for having Tyler review?
Yep.
And if there's any change, then we would have to call a special meeting.
Mhm.
I move to approve the resolution and letter of support of agenda item 2025-18 with the stipulation of clarification on the participation of others.
Second.
McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Great discussion. On to item number 9, which is Tyler again, Marion County Road Department update. Tyler.
Yeah, all we do is apply for grants, it seems like. So I wanted to make you aware of a few that we were recently awarded. These will formally come to your attention at some point in the next 6 months, whenever the DOT gets funding agreements in place. So we applied for and received a TSIP, which is a traffic safety improvement program through the state of Iowa. So utilizing a portion of of road use tax funds for flashing beacons at 3 county-to-county paved road intersections. We had recently applied, I think in 2020 or 2021 for a very similar grant where we did multiple other intersections. These are the remaining few county-to-county paved road intersections that we have of 45 miles per hour or greater. There's a cost benefit for adding flashing beacons to stop signs, particularly high volume, high speed intersections. And so this will kind of complete that process for us. The grant is 100% funding, essentially. I think with updated pricing from the vendor, we may incur $300 to have these installed, but the grant will pay for the flashing beacons themselves. Additionally, we applied for another TSIP grant for destination or intersection lighting at 4 paved road intersections. These are not necessarily county-to-county paved road intersections, but may be primary to secondary road or county to state highways. We get lots of requests and I went and evaluated, I think 13 intersections throughout the county, prioritized those and made application actually for all 13. So the original application was for, I think, $280,000 of TSIP funds for intersection and destination lighting. We were awarded $80,000 for 4 particular intersections that weren't quite in the same order of priority that I had submitted with the application. How they chose those, I don't exactly know, but they were specific to those. I did ask for clarification if there's funding available, could we proceed to the next one on the priority list, which I have not yet received, and we'll get that clarity before the funding agreement comes in place. I'm just making you aware. there's really no work for us to be done there. That we basically will give Mid-American a call. They'll send us a bill and that bill will get reimbursed from the TSEP program or paid directly actually by the TSEP program. The third grant, Tammy and Mike, actually Mike brought this to our attention, our road maintenance supervisor regarding an IMWCA grant for anti-slip footwear or kind of the yak tracks
Okay.
type thing. So Tammy and Mike worked together and put the application together in which we were recently awarded. We actually took delivery of those yesterday, I think. So we have those in place. There's a update to our departmental PPE policy to that effect to comply with the requirements of the grant. And we will be performing a couple of trainings here, one in the winter and one maybe in early spring regarding anti-slip footwear, slips, trips and falls and the use of these. A couple of project updates. So proceeding into construction season 2025, our crews will be doing gravel stabilization on 240th and 210th to complete the FY25 fiscal year. We will be.
Hey, can you stop for a minute? I don't know if Jim knows what the gravel stabilization is, since just a little bit high level.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yep. So on our high volume gravel roads, we are basically over rocking to get a base and then utilizing a chemical that's injected into that base and stabilizing those roads. Most of those, not really factoring in inflation, have a 5 to 7 year payoff, with counties in Minnesota and some here in Iowa approaching 10 plus years of no longer having to rock those roads and significantly reducing maintenance. A lot of these high volume gravel roads, we're blading once, if not twice a week, and we'll go to blading them 3 to 4 times a year. We've done this. So we have roads that have been in place for 2 years now. Prior to that, we visited roads in Washington County that had been in place for 5 or 6 years at the time. And that was back in 2017 when we visited Washington County. So now they've been in place nearly 10 years and they have not rocked those roads yet. They are still stabilized per se. So significantly reduces maintenance. You'll see in my budget over the course of the last 2 fiscal years and the upcoming fiscal year, I've been able to reduce our road maintenance rock budget by approximately 10,000 tons out of 120. So we're down to around 110,000 tons of roadstone now because of these projects, which we're still seeing a rock increase in our rock budget because of inflation. We're still not, but it is aiding in that, with rock inflation averaging around 8% per year over the last 4 years. That's going to be extremely beneficial for us, but it also allows those operators to focus elsewhere in their routes and focus our time and efforts and budgets elsewhere and whatnot, just providing a better level of service countywide. So we will be proceeding. We already have all the materials for 240th. We have some of the materials for 210th, but we have that budgeted to complete. These are the 2 of the top 3 highest volume gravel roads in the county. Once we complete these, we will have roughly 15% of the top 20 highest volume gravel roads complete. And if weather and other things cooperate over the next couple of years, we will have nearly 40% of our high volume gravel roads completed and stabilized.
Is this stuff that we can do on our own or do we have to hire an outside service to perform this function?
We could hire outside. However, we have been renting specialized equipment either from another county or renting equipment from a dealership and performing it ourselves, which really works the best because it's on our timeline. And we can discuss the cost benefit of that more in my budget meeting if you would like. We're also in the design phase, working through wetland mitigation right now on 168th Place bridge replacement. So this is down in the area south of Attica. This is a federal aid, 100% federal aid bridge replacement project. That project is expected to be let in November of this year and completed during the 2026 calendar year. We are also, I think next week, we have a bid letting for the T17 Farm to Market Pavement Restoration Project. So this is T17 between Highway 5 and Old Highway 92. We applied 2, maybe 3 times for the Community Project Fund through Miller Meek's office for this project, and we're unsuccessful, and it's time to move on probably. We have other projects we can apply for if that opportunity comes up again. So that project will be completed in 2025. However, it will be associated with the Highway 5 bridge replacement on near Attica. So the Iowa DOT is replacing a bridge just north of Attica, utilizing T17 as their detour route. Our project is kind of coupled with that as far as the project's late start date. It can't start until that project is complete and the detour is no longer. And
Would that be-
subsequently, we will be closing T17 as part of this overlay in an effort to save on $75,000 to $100,000 in flagger fees. And that also is in coordination with the South Central Iowa Solid Waste Agency. We felt closing the road was better than having weeks of 1-lane closures in front of their facility. We can stage construction basically at their entrance, the north half and south half of the project. Then we would utilize the new bridge and Highway 5 as our detour, and likely speeding up our project timeline, accommodating the landfill, and saving us some money.
That was it.
We have a federal aid pavement restoration project on Highway S45. This is from G76 or the Melcher area south to Lucas County line. We get a little over $300,000 a year in federal surface transportation funds. You can't do much with that. We're going to be borrowed ahead. So this is probably the last federal aid road project we're going to do for 3 or 4 years at least. We have a few local bridges, Jasper County line. We're working with the Jasper County engineer on that. 20th at Quebec. We'll be pursuing some local crack sealing with our crews. We have the joint project with the city of Monroe, and that's currently in design. Anticipated letting schedule for that is May, which may couple well with some things conservation has going on. And then ultimately, that will be completed in 2025 as well, as the hope. Our Junction 92 project, we had a project construction update meeting last Wednesday. Leading up to the winter season, we had roughly 7 issues we were working through with the contractor. 6 of those had been taken care of. The 7th is being taken care of, and things are progressing. I wouldn't say we're necessarily out of the ground yet, but you know, there's definitely things that are happening there. They're working this week to fix that 7th issue. Once that's complete, then I think things will really start progressing at a much more rapid pace. Steel erection will start. You'll start to see the building really look like a building. Current schedule is tentatively the end of May for the building to be substantially completed.
Okay.
We're meeting every 2 weeks and staying on the contractor to move the project forward. And just so you know, Jim, the completion date for that project was December 30th of 2024.
So
there are some supply chain issues that would have come into play there, but that's, I guess, not an excuse in my opinion either, but.
no, I appreciate those updates. Board, as you can tell, and Steve or Jim, obviously, you can see that there's a lot of grants that Tyler, that's how he's able to stay afloat, honestly. And the system alone and being able, he borrows ahead, and it's a system that he's able to do that, and that's how that works. But it's very complicated, and it's like this. It seems like it's constantly moving, but Tyler does a very good job.
We did almost $9 million in road and bridge work last year in Marion County, and only $2 million of that was funded from our farm to market account, which is actually state funding. We had 0 local dollars contributed to that on some major projects and corridors.
Thank you, Tyler, for your persistence and looking for that, and your staff. Yes,
Yeah.
Sheriff.
While we have him on the hot seat, just a couple questions. 180th, has that been the gravel stabilization between G28 and the, ones that keep green?
No,
Is that in the future or not really? It seems like it has been.
it's, I think that particular road is last, 20th of the 20 highest volume roads, so.
Gotcha. All right. Second, second question, we were talking about the flashing, stop signs. I've been working with the state, and I don't know if this is a combination or maybe it's your guys's, but on the grant, we're talking about the flashing stoplights, G28 and Highway 14. Is that state or is that yours?
So what you heard me say was with the flashing beacons was county to county paved roads or secondary paved road intersections. At primary roads, the stop signs are the state's jurisdiction. But there's also a provision in the Iowa code that they cannot.
Turn on your mic.
It is, the battery's dead and
Oh.
so it'll only stay on.
So, but there's also a provision in the Iowa code that the state can't own lighting. So any destination lights, intersection lights, flashing beacons, advanced warning beacons would have to be ours. There's a long process and agreements that would have to be put into place for that.
So is that Walt working with you? Cause that intersection we have.
I know.
We have had a ton of accidents that end up over into the west side of Highway 14. So I've been working with the state to try to do that. I don't know if we need to, if that's in combination with you or if that's just me still working with the
Yeah.
state or.
I'm not sure where the request has to come from to initiate that section of Iowa code. I just know that there's very specific warrants that have to be met, how things are funded, how things are maintained. For example, we have a amber flashing beacon on Highway 14 that's ours.
Well, there was a fatality one day and then another serious accident the next day or whatever. And so that's one of those that can work together on that. That would definitely be one of those areas that I would highly recommend that red flashing. And then, last topic, and maybe you don't want to.
Hang on just a second. Yeah.
Last question or whatever, and maybe this is still a ways down the road, but with the state's, I guess, discussions in regards to the mile-long bridge and the work on that, do you have any updates on that or where that's at? Or my assumption is they're gonna do the mile-long at one point and then the bridge, that is Brush Creek or Buck Creek or whatever, on the north side, right south of G28 at the other one.
Yep,
Is-
so your assumption is incorrect.
Okay,
Both bridges will be under construction simultaneously.
okay,
Okay, so I just had this discussion yesterday. The DOT will be doing a press release, and I've been hounding them for weeks about this because this is a very vital corridor within Marion County, affects a lot of people with significant out of distance travel.
Correct, yes.
The mile-long bridge is going to be rehabilitated. The bridge immediately north-south of G28 will be replaced. They will both be closed at the same time for likely 10 months. The difficulty for Marion County is two things. The detour route will be actually to T17 because the dam will occasionally close throughout this year as well with the work that the Corps of Engineers has going on rehabilitating the gates. The other difficulty for Marion County is the subdivision of Painted Rocks will not have access to Highway 14 directly. They will have a roughly 4.5 mile detour to go north towards Monroe to 4.5 miles just to get back to pavement. They know this. I've been in contact with them. I've told them what the detour route is. We've done work to improve that gravel route, knowing it's going to see, 5-6 times the traffic. That's been completed, and we'll continue to evaluate that. The caveat there is if the lake goes up 20 feet, that 4.5 mile detour then becomes over 7 miles for the Painted Rocks subdivision, 4.5 to 7 of gravel just to get back to Highway 14. So someone living, working, schooling in Knoxville that lives in Painted Rocks is going to be going at least to the dam, if not to further to get to Knoxville. So look for a press release from the DOT. We encourage them to do signalization across the dam, or excuse me, across the mile-long stage construction. The other alternative was to complete one in 1 year and one in the next, which then the closure would be for 2 years.
What was the time frame on that or
So
timeline?
late start date for both projects are the beginning of April. One is April 1st, one is April 7th. There's no free winter work, which means likely they'll start either on April 1 or 7 or a week or two prior.
Is that 25 or 26?
25 this year.
And will that road be then down to one lane, April 1st, or is it gonna be completely shut?
Likely closed
Likely closed?
immediately.
Okay. Has there been good communication? I mean, I know you're trying to find out this information, but obviously that's going to affect economically wise for Knoxville, the racetrack, all of that.
I
and-
know the DOT had a meeting with Pace and some business leaders in Pella a couple months ago, maybe.
Okay.
We just yesterday received the detour agreements, which were supposed to be in place 60 days prior to letting. So they're about 4.5 months behind on that. So I have yet to evaluate those. They did not accompany, they were not accompanied with any compensation, which is typical anytime the state detours. We'll have to have discussions with Walt and the local maintenance office. If they are closed during either this winter or the next winter season, the DOT technically maintains, plows snow on those detour routes. So we're kind of behind the 8 ball on some things. I mean, I've known about the project for a long time. We've communicated immediately with Painted Rocks and the subdivision. I wish there was already, more public information out there about it, I guess.
100%.
There has been a few public meetings, initial public meetings about this time last year, I think it was, regarding the project.
So, I mean, and sheriff's side, safety wise,
Yeah, that's
when we talk about somebody dial 911
Right.
out in that area.
The reason I wanted, just to kind of bring it up,
Yeah.
because obviously in the next, 4 months or whatever it is, there's going to have to be a lot more discussions, meetings. Just awareness of a lot of those different things that are going to be coming up. Obviously, it impacts county conservation, it impacts
Yeah.
the sheriff's office, roads, along those lines. So I just wanted to make sure everybody was kind of aware of that, and we're setting up meetings or discussions or things to be aware of. April, what would you say, April 7th or 14th?
April 1 or 7.
Oh, 1 or
I'm
7.
not sure which. One is one is the other.
Yeah, so being, when you're 4 months out or on a situation or whatever, it's gonna impact a lot of businesses, a lot of citizens, a lot of different things. We really need to.
Because I also
I've
think
been-
who's ever supposed to service that area when it comes to
It'll be
ambulance and
Monroe
all
is
that.
west of Highway 14 north. It's
Okay.
Pella east of
Okay.
Highway 14. Those are the two main ambulance service sides of it. But
Okay,
even for my office, we're going to readjust and I'm going to assign deputies north and south.
okay.
In different things so that we have, when we're not trying to get to a
When you-
call.
yeah.
Yeah, all the way around. Across the dam or up across Highway 316, we're gonna kind of readjust our scheduling and our patrol areas and
316
That.
will also be one lane next year.
so news there too. So I wasn't aware of,
The DOT will be rehabbing the curved bridge there, just north of Swan.
okay, I wasn't aware of that one either, but that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So I've done my best to inform as many people as possible informally and in passing. The DOT's been pretty direct in us not being public so there's no misinformation or conflicting information.
yeah, I'm not saying
And
this
then
is you. I'm
And
just
I
saying.
put the pressure
No,
on
I
them
agree.
to try to get the information out there.
Yeah.
Who's the person at the DOT, or who's the contact? I have to admit, being new to the board, I'm somewhat frustrated that the DOT, you're in 4 months, they're gonna be closing a lifeline to everybody south of the dam. And this is the very first, I suspect, any of us who are elected leaders of the entire county are hearing about it. I'm more than just a little frustrated in that no one from the state or the DOT reached out to inform us what to account for. It's difficult to lead if you don't know what's coming down the pipe.
Welcome to our
That's
world.
why, so to answer your question, Jim, I can't say that I've, in all my discussions, which have been many, there's never been a point person. I hear bits and pieces from various departments, including Ames, including Fairfield, Knoxville, Sheraton. I get bits and pieces from different folks within District 5 and out of the state office in Ames. So I don't know. I would assume it's a District 5 county engineer. Bobby.
And don't misunderstand, I'm not frustrated with you. I'm frustrated with the state and the DOT for their lack of communication and giving us information as far as what we can do to plan ahead. I'm a big planner. I like to plan out at least a year. And a 4-month heads up is just not enough.
Yeah, I get it. I'm right there with you. I did make it a point to notify the school districts because we have 3, sometimes 4 school districts going in or near the Painted Rock subdivision. Because actually the school districts all kind of merge right there. So I did notify them August, I think, of 2024. At some point, I received some type of communication where I put together a map for the Painted Rock subdivision and what the detour, gravel detour, which is not a detour the DOT is publishing because it's not a detour of a state highway. I just put that together for convenience of those residents in the school district.
Advise that Tyler rallied the affected emergency services
Hang on.
personnel to make comment during the public comment process that took place nearly a year ago. He's done more than most county engineers would do.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it was about a year ago when the initial public comment or public meeting happened and yeah.
But we still, yeah, it's
I mean-
still very vague. They're just not telling you much and that the communication is not there in which, yeah. So,
I mean, I didn't even know Highway 5 was closing until a few months ago. When I said that's not gonna work because we're overlaying that road net. And then we worked and figured it out, but
So more to come on that, but just for everybody's awareness.
hopefully sooner than later, Jason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, then, and maybe I can reach out and try to set up a meeting in regards to invite, one of you or,
Yeah.
to it and that side of it, but, it's definitely something just that we're gonna have to have some meetings with, Monroe Ambulance, Prairie City Ambulance,
Within the
Pella
past month,
ambulance.
all of the frustrations and questions that have been brought up, I have presented to the DOT via email, copying everyone I know has been a part of this to date. And then the response was the detour agreements yesterday.
if you guys can, if there is a meeting, we can.
And last thing, just a shout out once again to Tyler and all his staff. Whether it be the grants that they apply for, fabulous, and money savings to the county, it's a huge, huge, huge impact on what they do there and the time they do that. And then also just, obviously in inclement weather or when there's accidents or things that are there, they're always very willing to help us at the sheriff's office. And if we have slick areas or different things that are on it, they deal with it and it definitely helps out. So kudos to them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, no further questions. I'll entertain a motion to close road department update.
So moved.
Court.
Mueller,
Aye.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs.
Aye.
Item number 10 is Marion County Employee Handbook. So I asked to put this on the agenda. I know that we had a department head meeting last December, which was just a month ago, but in 2024, December 2024. And I had stated that one of my goals was that our handbook needs to be looked at. So board, I have asked that this be put on and to seek your advice as a board in giving HR the direction of starting the process to update our handbook. It's a handbook that I believe is, 14 years old. It definitely needs to be updated. With that process, board, I would like as the liaison with the HR that I would help assisting in that, doing reviews, meeting with Lisa as she is working through this process. I do know that it's going to take time. I do know that at some point we were going to have department heads, communication there also, because I do know that some department heads have expressed some changes. Big picture, what I would like is I'd like to get this handbook updated. And then I would like to put it into our website so that we have a portal system. So could be hand copies, but also majority of the employees could access it via the portal. And then some document, there's other documents that would go along with that. It's a long time coming. It's going to be a big task. It's going to be a big task on our HR department. And our HR department also has outside legal counsel that they use. And so we will be then seeking outside legal counsel for their assistance, making sure that those changes agree. And then ultimately, we're going to want our legal counsel to look review too. So that's the big picture of that. So what I was seeking is directive to start the process and updating the handbook. Do you have any questions or?
No, I think it's probably long overdue, and I think the department head should have quite a bit of input on that update also.
So honestly, from just talking high level, it'd be something that Lisa and I will be working on as we go down. Then we would get some involvement then, but it's going to take a little bit before we're at that point. So Lisa, do you have any comments?
And I just want to say that the move where we're going on the handbook is more of a way up here level, whereas now we have a lot of things carved out for the sheriff's office, conservation, the courthouse. That most likely will all go away. And your policies at the department level will govern most of it. This is just going to be a top level policies that all employees need to have. But yes, the department heads will have a chance to review it before we finalize it.
I'm a big supporter of the updating the handbook because we all know that there have been a lot of changes for employee relations over the last 14 years. I would also recommend that you put it on a regular schedule of reviews, that you don't all of a sudden time get away from you and
100%.
another 10 years or 14 years has gone by, whether it's on a 3-year cycle or a 2-year cycle. Just because you put it on a review cycle doesn't mean you have to do anything with it.
Right.
It's simply a review. So I'd really recommend that we do that as well.
Yep, I agree. I think it's probably something that almost, since our fiscal year starts July 1, that it would be a yearly thing that we would review, see if there was any changes and then implement that. So we're not dealing with a complete overhaul. So, but
What's
yes.
the timeline for completion?
Can you, sorry. She asked what was the timeline for completion. I would love for it to be done within 6 months, but there's no guarantee because I don't know without looking at it. I have not reviewed it with her, but so I'm not going to say a certain time, but definitely this year. How's that? So, okay. Any other questions?
No.
All right. With that, I would entertain a motion to just agreement that the board would like to proceed with updating the handbook.
So moved.
Second.
Johnner,
Aye.
McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller.
Aye.
The next item, also I asked to be put on the agenda. It is the Marion County space study, building space study. If you remember last fall, we had been approached by Fifth Judicial, which is the probation office section. They were seeking renting space. They come to us. We did not seek them. And as a discussion that we discussed as a board at that time, there were some questions that needed to be answered. I have spoke with that department, and I have got several of those things answered. And they are willing to work with us. They are, they still would like to rent space, but I felt that we needed to discuss as a board, what do we really have and where would that make the most sense? After hearing what the people had said in that discussion, I felt that it was only right that we do a space study. So I know that a space study has been done probably about 10 years ago. This is something that I would like to have Chris Nestaby be a part of and go and look and come back to us as a board, what we have available, what possibly, you know, the future of what some of the departments would look like. And we could maybe have a work session in regarding this. And that would be something that we discuss. He presents to us, we discuss it, and then we can kind of see where we would want to go with that. So that would be like at the end of a meeting at some point, just doing a work session on that. So Chris, is that something that you're willing to tackle for us? I know that's added on, but
No, it's no problem at all. Again, for the clarification standpoint, my intention behind it after we had a conversation was to look at the available space that we have, talk to individual departments to look at future growth so that we're not, you know, renting space out that someday we need, and then to come to the board with potential recommendations based upon conversations with department heads.
and Chris, and also I think when you're talking to department heads, you need to think of immediate versus long-term.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you know, because some of these agreements could be, you know, if we were to rent out space, maybe only a year or two agreements, you know, type of things could change. I think it's being fiscally responsible if we have space, and it is something that we could receive some income to offset, and it's responsible to the taxpayer. So, but that's my overall, that's the high level. And I don't know, Chris, how long you think that would take? Is that gonna take you a month? Does that take you, you know?
Honestly, probably 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, so something that.
Second meeting of February, I almost guarantee I have it taken care of.
Okay, so something we could put on then and you could present to us and review, so. And Steve, as your point of contact, maybe that'd be something you could work with Chris on and so. So,
I'd be interested, along with that report, looking at building layouts, who's in which stations, how utilized they are. I think, as Keisha alluded to, it's one of our responsibilities as supervisors to make sure that we're utilizing the county assets in the best possible way. And if we don't need the county assets, let's jettison them and get them on the tax rolls. We did that at other city functions as well. And if we don't need it, let's get rid of it.
and we did, we have been slowly getting rid of, I mean, we got 6th Street and some of the memorial buildings. But yeah, no, so I agree. So with that, if there's no question, I mean, as long as we're willing to give Chris the directive of starting to do the space study, I would entertain that motion.
So moved.
Oh, go ahead, Steve.
So moved.
Steve, is it Steve?
Yeah.
Steve went. So, okay. McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller,
Aye.
Johnner.
Aye. With that, item number 12 is Board of Supervisor updates.
I have none at this time.
You don't have any? Okay. Jim, do you have any updates?
I have none.
Okay, I have Board of Health, I believe the 21st, is that correct? But other than that, that was my only update. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll support.
McCombs,
Aye.
Mueller,
Aye.
Johnner.
Thank you, everyone.